Right, everybody, I'm back live again with the SPECTRE review and spoilers. Hopefully, it's going to be a quick one though. I need to finish this before 2.5 hours, even though it's on for fucking 2 hours 20 minutes. So hopefully, I'm going to be doing a quicker review. Because yeah, the plot line in SPECTRE in all that much is all about the New World Order getting control of surveillance systems, which people pretty much know about now, sort of thing. And Milton knows the soy fucking witch queen is in the chat commenting, but is a soy witch bitch queen. So I'm not gonna read his comments out. If you want to fucking look what the soy little queen bitch is saying, you can do. But I'm not bothering with that soy fucking queen bitch. I'm more interested in the Bond. Because, yeah, pretty good film, even though it's a Daniel Craig Bond film and that. So they're not going to be better than the Roger Moore ones. So, yeah, so lads, yeah, I'm back. And I'm doing a fucking stream on the Spectre, the Daniel Craig Spectre film. That is the last one I'll be doing because I've done them all now until the new Bond film, like that hasn't even been made yet until that one gets released. I've, I shouldn't say I've done them all, but this is the last one. I think I'll be doing sort of like other streams, but don't know exactly what. But yeah, Spectre, pretty good film and that. As I say, it's a Daniel Craig Bond film and that, so fucking, it's gonna be like fucking a good film. It's a Bond film, and he gets two shags in this one. It's a two shagger, which I thought it was only a one shagger, and the shag he gets in this one is the bed who's in No Time to Shag. So this is where he got his shag and had the kid. That's in No Time to Die, which we call it No Time to Shag. And Milton Knowles, the soy witch queen, as I say, he's in the chat talking soy shit again, so I won't even bring his comment up. But if you want to know what Milton Knowles, the soy witch queen, has typed, then you're welcome to have a look. But I'm not bringing it up because he's a soy fucking nerd, bitch. Well, that's why he's not fucking watching any Bond films because he can't hack the fucking masculinity of James Bond. He knows he ain't getting any shag. Milton, Milton watches fucking Wonder Woman because that's his fucking life of having a woman do his fighting for him. But if he was man enough to watch the fucking James Bond films, even the Daniel Craig ones, are quite fucking depressing. And he'd probably like that because he's always talking about his depressing fucking life. But anyway, the Daniel Craig ones got good action in though. Too much masculine action for cyanide bitches. They can't hack this shit. But yeah, the action is good in the Daniel Craig's. I'll have to give him that though, even though some of it's a bit like yeah, no great, but well executed though. Well executed because the beginning bit of Spectre is pretty good in that. Well, I read out the cast because yeah, James Bond played by Daniel Craig. Blofeld, played by Christopher Waltz. It was a pretty good sort of fucking interpretation of Blofeld, even though, yeah, the script that he got wasn't the best, though. Anyway, then you got Leah Say Dukes, or Dukes, Say Dukes, Leah Say Dukes, I think it is. Who plays Modelina Swan. Oh, as I say, in No Time to Shag, she's the bird who's been pregnant to Bond. So this is where fucking Bond gets her up the duff in this one. And then No Time to Shag is where he's got to fucking pay the child alimony fucking money. Nah, but it's nearly as bad though. But anyway, then you got Ralph Fiennes as M. Monica Bellucci, and she plays Lucia. Bond gets a shag. That's his second shag. Oh no, it's his first shag in this. Swan. I call her Swan, Miss Swan sort of thing. Leah Seydoux. She's the second shag. And then Ben Winshaw as Q. Naomi Harris as Miss Moneypenny. Dave Bastuta, Bastista, that's it. Bastusta. Bastista. Dave Bastista as Kilner. But they didn't even mention his name, so I just call him Bastista. But anyway, then Andrew Scott, who plays C, who really his real name is Max Denborough, but he's the head of communications and that sort of thing, so they call him C. And Bond wants to call him C because he wants to refer to him as being a cunt. And Then Rory Kinner as Tanner, and then Jesper Christiansen as Mr. White, and then Alessandro Calamana as Marco. What's, can't say the right because it's real. Scamaya. Yeah, that's it. Marco Scamaya. Who gets killed right at the beginning of that. And then Steven Stigman as Delana, I think. And that, yeah. Well, I think I'll get onto the spoilers and that sort of thing. I'll try and make this a quick one and that. Because yes, Daniel Craig. Don't want to badmouth Daniel Craig's Bond too much, but compared to the Roger Moore, oh. Here we go, look. So, yeah, starts off Metro Goldmire and that MGM. Then it goes into fucking Columbia Pictures, a Sony company, and Bond, and comes up with The Dead Are Alive. And like carnival music's playing because this is happening in Mexico City where they've got the carnival going on of the Day of the Dead, it's called, yeah, where they all get dressed up as fucking skeletons and that, or anything to do with the afterlife sort of thing. Mainly skeletons. So you see this dude dressed up with a skeleton mask, and he walks by this other dude dressed up with a skeleton mask who's Bond and that, where he sees the dude who's his target. Oh, this is Marco. Scarara, but you don't know this at this stage and that. Oh, you know, and you don't really even know this apart from when you see, like, you know that Bond's like following him and that sort of thing because he's sort of like sees him go. Well, anyway, he walks up with his bed into this hotel room where, yeah, he might have shagged her beforehand, but we don't know. But anyway, she sort of like has this key in that to the hotel room where I think Bond hasn't shagged her. I think he's just using her to get into her room. But because none of this you see, or anyway, he goes in and that where she gets sort of like a mask off and that, ready to get a nice shagging and that, where Bond gives her a kiss and that. Then she gets on the bed and that. Well, Bond, he fucking takes off his sort of like costume and that, and like walks out onto her ledge and that. Says he'll be back in a bit. Sort of weird. Anyway, goes across the rooftops and that, where he gets to a bit of the roof where the opposite building he's watching some dudes. Oh, what one of them is this dude Marco Sanchez or Senator or whatever, and like Bond's got a machine gun with a fucking laser sort of listening device where it listens to vibrations off the window, where he's hearing this conversation about this dude who he's sort of like Bond's target, who he's been watching and that. Say like, oh yeah, he's got like a bomb and that for him and that, and he's gonna blow up a arena. And then is like, have you visited the Pale King? Where fucking then the like dudes spot fucking Bond in that and start shooting that, where Bond takes out the fucking bad guys and that, but he accidentally hits the fucking briefcase bomb that just fucking takes out the fucking full front fucking floor of that building, sort of thing, where it collapses and that. Bit of a good fucking stunt work, sort of like setup where Bond the house collapses onto the building that Bond's on, which makes his building collapse and that, way he fucking has to sort of like fucking get sort of like fucking onto like a ledge and that for safety, and like yeah, he's sort of like falls down, but he lands on a couch where fucking he was in a sort of like fucking hotel lobby or something. But anyway, it's all fucked up now. I'm surprised. Well, there would have been some people dying in this fucking accident because it was too big of a fucking accident for no one to have been at least injured. But they don't show anyone injured or out, apart from like the bad guys who were shooting at Bond and that. Well, anyway, Bond sees his target, this Marco Cigarette, Scarara, yeah. Well, he sort of like gives chase and that, where fucking the building's been took apart, so the sirens going up and that, and there's a big carnival going on where he gets into the crowd and that. Bit of a chase going on, but well, he phones his contact friends to say for him to meet in the square, which is in the town centre, and that where he is sort of like about sort of thing. Well, fucking, you see this helicopter that get to the chopper. The chopper fucking arrives and that. Well, he gets in and that, where fucking then Bond, he fucking runs over and that, and fucking gets in and that, and then starts to have like a fight and that, fucking in like in the chopper sort of thing. Well, fucking the pilot, Bond starts to like slam the pilot's head around a bit and that, so the helicopter starts to fucking and that fucking starts to like wobble all over and that, where the crowd know, oh yeah, fucking hell, there's something wrong with that helicopter and that. Well, they start to scream, the crowd and that, where this fight goes on with Bond and that. Right, good fucking scene. As I say, they get the action fucking down good and that. There's a lot of fighting fucking in this back of this chopper and that, where fucking in the end, Bond boots this Marco Scarrara out of the fucking chopper and that sort of thing. Fucking kills him. Well, you don't see him dead, but obviously he could have like landed on someone and that and broke his fall, but he is dead anyway because he goes to his funeral. But anyway, whilst he's fighting though, he grabs a ring off this Marco dude. As by this time, the crowd sort of like realised, oh yeah, this helicopter's fucking flying around the town square a bit in circles, whilst two dudes are having a fight, and so they start to scatter a little bit. And that. Well, yeah, some great fucking like stunts and that, like bit CGI, I'd say, like the bits where it is like they could have done that for real, but easier to do it CGI and a lot fucking safer anyway. So yeah, the chopper sort of like fucking pilot gets under control, where Bond then like grabs him and that fucking gets him sort of like to pull up and that, where the fucking engine stalls and that, where Bond fucking falls back and that. Helicopter does a loop the loop. Then fucking as it's falling down back to Earth, Bond beats the shit out of the pilot dude, boots him out and that. As I say, it looks all good and that shit, but a little bit CGI when you like know, like when you're seeing quite a lot of CGI sort of shit, you can tell a little, but still great fucking scene though. Even though they did use CGI, because you know, like it was too dangerous on the scene for them to like fucking do it in this modern day. Anyway, well, Bond he fucking gets the helicopter under control and that flies off and that. So like looks at the ring that's got a like octopus sign or an octopus silhouette on it. Then it goes into the music and that, like where you see Bond with some birds around him and that, like a lot of octopus sort of like groping the birds and that. Then you see like back sort of bad guys of Bond's missions from Casino Royale and that, the Chief and all the other sort of bad guys that he's been coming across and that. Well, you get your like silhouetted naked birds sort of thing that are like turning into like cloud dust sort of thing. Some pretty good sort of like, yeah, they've got. I think it's so good. I think they overdid the effects on just for a fucking intro. I think they had enough effects where they could have calmed it down a bit. But anyway, they really went for the intro. Yeah, you see Daniel Craig sort of thing. Then music stops. Then you see Bond, who's in M's office and that, and M's angry and that with Bond for the crazy shit that he did, because it all sort of like fucking got leaks on the news and that about fucking a dude, crazy ass fucking helicopter, fucking out of control shit. And M says he's like got 5 minutes until the head of Joint Security Services, which is this C dude, he's coming in the office and that, and he's gonna be like giving M fucking mouthful because fucking Bond wasn't on no mission. He was on vacation, so because yeah, like M has to explain about Bond's action because he went on a mission and that, and MR5 and MR6 are merging into a like sort of one office sort of building and that because MR6 building got blew up sort of thing. And the MI5 want to scrap the 00 agents and that. And so M's really pissed off that Bond went on his own sort of like fucking personal mission and that. And M asks what Bond was doing in Mexico City, where Bond says he was on vacation and that sort of thing. Well, M's real pissed off because he knows, like, he wasn't on no vacation. Because if he'd been on a vacation, he wouldn't have been fucking going all crazy and that shit track down the stop doors. Well, anyway, M then says, "Oh, well, you're grounded, Bond. Like, you're not going to be doing no more missions and that, and you know, be doing like an office job and that." And like Bond accepts it and that. And as he goes to leave, this Max Denbisher, he like walks in, where he's like the head of oh, fuck what, yeah, he's the head of the Joint Security Service and that. And he walks in and that and says all right to Bond and that, and Bond's like, all right, sort of thing. Well, uh, Bond calls him C because he's the head of the control of the security service. So uh, he says, "Oh, you don't have to call me C. You can call me Max and that sort of thing." But Bond's like, "No, no, I'll call you C because he's referring to him as being a cunt because Bond knows that. Well, M just told him that fucking." He's wanting to fucking get rid of scrap the OO agents and that. Well, then Max or C, as like I'll be referring him to, he says he wants to bring the British intelligence sort of fucking people and that out of the dark ages and that and into the light sort of thing. Where M says then that Bond has to like Bond has to like report to Q tomorrow sort of thing for like a medical and that. And then Bond goes out and that, and he sees Miss Moneypenny, and she has some stuff from the Skyfall, sort of like recovered from the MR6 building that got blown up, and that, and it's what like M had sort of thing. And it got like recovered from the wreckage sort of thing. And Bond says to bring it to his place at 9 sort of thing. Where Miss Moneypenny's like, oh, okay then, yeah. Well then it's at that's Bond's place, probably about 9 o'clock, because Miss Moneypenny is sort of like is there, and she brings the stuff and that. And then Miss Moneypenny says that Bond is gonna do some more sort of crazy shit, and then like Bond sort of like agrees sort of thing, but he plays Miss Moneypenny then a recording of the female M, Judy Dench, Bond M, who fucking got killed in the last film, Skyfall, and she recorded herself saying, "Find Marco Sciarra and kill him." And that was the dude who Bond sort of like kicked out of the chopper and that and killed. And Miss Moneypenny then asked where he got it from, this sort of recording, where Bond says it was mailed to him after the female M died and that. Then Bond says like he'd been like tracking this Marco Sciarra, but had no luck really finding any sort of firm leads or out. Where Miss Moneypenny sort of like asks when the funeral's gonna be, and Bond says like it's the funeral's gonna be in 3 days in Rome, where he knows that M is not gonna let Bond out of his sight, sort of thing. He wants to ground him in that, and so he's not going to be let on leave or out. And so Bond, like, sort of like says to Miss Moneypenny though, if she could look into who the Pale King is, who this Marco Sciarra was talking about meeting, where she's like, okay, sort of thing, and then like leaves. Where then Bond looks through the Skyfall sort of bits of bent up. Well, one of them is his birth certificate and that, and a photo, and some other bent up stuff that they managed to salvage. But the photo is of a dude who's mountaineering and like 2 boys and that. And because one of the boys is Bond, he sort of like knows about the photo and that. And so, but you don't really know this at the time and that, but you find out like, oh yeah, the boy, because there's 2 boys, but one of the boys, his face has been bent out and that, but one of the boys, his face, you can see, and Bond knows that it's his face because he knows what it looks like when he was a kid and probably remembers photo being took. And yeah, he sees his sort of like order of temporary guardianship of like the dude who was in the photo and that. And yeah, it's all like knows like M was like looking into this, but he don't know why, and that's all like yeah. Well, anyway, then it goes to where it's on the Thames, and there's Tanner, and he's sort of like telling Bond that the MI6 building is getting demolished because in Skyfall it got like blow. Well, the building get blown up, but the a floor or two in the department building got blown up and that. And so they're saying it's going to be cheaper to demolish the building and build a new building. And it's going to be a part of the new the new centre for national security sort of building where the MI5 and the MI6 are going to merge together and they're going to be like called the Centre of National Security and that, where Bond says, oh, so that's C's new sort of digs where he's saying, yeah, that's where, oh, this C dude who's the head of surveillance security and that is what where he's going to be staying, his new office and that. And ask Tanner what they know about this C dude who is now the head of control. Where Tanner tells him he's a classic Whitehall Mandarin, like wrote a dossier on how the double O agents are being obsolete and that, and there's no like use for them no more. And they should be replaced by drones. And he went to school with the Home Secretary, who is sort of like matey with the fucking, oh yeah, I've got a job for you, you can do sort of thing. Well, in 3 days, a security conference in Tokyo is to decide the New World Order and C is getting his way. If he gets his way, he'll have unlimited access to the combined intelligence of the streams of CTV sort of footage. So, because in this, there's like China, UK, South Africa, they're all joining up. There's like 9 nations apparently going to join up to do a new world order, they call it, surveillance system on and share sort of like information and that. Where um uh, well yeah then like Tanner says about there was a train bombing in Hamburg and an industrial explosion in Tunisia And this looks all bad for the fucking double O agents that should be out there stopping this. And it's like playing into C's hands by like showing, oh yeah, these double O agents, they're not all that good. Well, then Bond and Tanner, they go, because like there was on a boat and that sailing on the river where they docked it into this sort of like underground sort of like fucking place where Q's headquarters are now there, where Bond goes in and that, and then Q puts a micro nano chips in his bloodstream. If this sounds familiar, it might be because fucking this is what the New World Order want to do, where it's called Smart Blood, apparently, and it's basically so they can track Bond, and because his blood now is the tracking system, they can't take the tracking system out unless they drain all his blood, and so and apparently and all with this smart blood tracking system, they also can monitor and read Bond's vital signs and that. So if he's like injured or out, they know and that. And so not only do they know where he is, they know in what condition he's going to be in. Obviously, Bond doesn't go into fits and convulsions for fucking his body rejecting this nanotechnology. It all goes perfectly fine. But anyway, and these are orders from M, because M wants, after what Bond did in Mexico City, M wants to keep a close eye on where Bond is and that. And then Q shows Bond like Austin Martin DB10, but then he like has to tell him, oh yeah, well, this is for 009, where Bond sort of like realizes like, oh yeah, M's put Q up to do this shit, to like wind Bond up to start behaving himself so he can get his DB like 10 and that. Well, then Q gives Bond a watch where he tells him it's got a loud alarm and that, which means he's got a bomb in it. And Bond asks Q to get him off the fucking grid sort of thing, even though he just put him on the grid with this smart, we injected him with this micro nano chips in his bloodstream so they can track him. Well, like Q says, oh yeah, well, I could say like there's a 24-hour, which Bond looks and he gets him to say gets it 48 hours sort of like period. That's like as to like fucking work a bit better sort of thing. So he basically gives Bond his 48 hours off the grid sort of thing. Where then you see sort of like Miss Moneypenny at her sort of like office desk being being M's secretary and that, where she gets a phone from Bond in a gift box, where she bullshits that it's a fucking from a boyfriend or an admirer and that. And then you see Q at his like Q headquarters and that, and he's told that 009 is waiting for his DB10, his Austin Martin car sort of thing, where Q sees, because like Q's like, all right then, yeah, I'll just go get it sort of thing. Well, Q then sees that it's gone, and obviously Bong's took it, where he left him some champagne. Bond leaves Q some champagne, but well, anyway, then you see Bond in this Aston Martin DB10 in Rome, which is Italy, and that, where he goes to Marco Scarrara's funeral, where he sees his widow and that, and he like talks to her and that, and he says that he sells life insurance. Well, she says, "Oh, it's a bit late," and that, but he says, "Oh no, it's not for your husband; it's for you," sort of thing, because he knows that because their husband's dead, that the Operation Spectre are going to see her as a bit of a loose end, and to shut her up, they're going to kill her. And so Bond's like, "Oh yeah, looks like you're going to need some life insurance and that." Well, anyway, she's not too happy in that sort of thing. She says like, "Can't you see?" Like she's grieving and that. Where Bond says no, and that, and then she leaves because she's like a bit pissed off, and then she goes home, and that. Well, as she goes home, she's like walking through a living room where there's like two assassin dudes that are there, but she ain't acknowledging them. She's hoping that they'll take her out without her knowing, and so it'll be a quick kill. And that, well, she goes outside to the swimming pool, and then these assassin dudes who work for Spectre are gonna like kill her, but then you hear like a silencer gunshot, and it's Bond who fucking takes them out. And she says to Bond, like, "Oh, what was the point? Because they're only going to send 100 more, sort of thing, and they'll hunt her down, whatever fucking the car." She says, like, you only bought her 5 more minutes of of time, sort of thing. Well, Bond's like, "Oh yeah, well, that's enough for a drink," and that. Where Bond pours a drink in that, and sort of like says she should be happy that her husband's sort of like dead because she didn't really like him much. Well, he slaps him in that, where, and then she's like saying that you signed her death warrant because you knew once her husband was dead, they'd want to kill her. Where Bondi's all like, "Oh well, that's all right," sort of thing. Oh, like, well, he introduces her anyway. I forget exactly what he says, but she like talks about her husband not like because yeah, Bond I think starts talking about the company that her husband works for, and she like says, "Oh, he's paid more attention to the company than he did me." Where Bond's like, "Oh yeah, he's a fool," and that sort of thing. So starts to seduce her, where he gets a nubbin and that, where yeah, gets his fair shag and that. And but oh yeah, before he fucking gets his shag though, because he's seducing her, she tells him that she doesn't really know much. Oh no, he asks her about the Pale King, where she didn't know nothing about the Pale King because it's a code name, and so she won't know. But she does know that they're having a meeting to choose a replacement for her husband's vacant seat, um, and it's at the Plazo Cadencia, which is a sort of like building, and it's happening at midnight. Where then Bond gets his shag, and he says like, "Oh yeah," he calls Felix Leiter to get this Lucia sort of like out of the sort of danger and into a safe house and that, probably get no identity and that, where they must do because you don't see her again or out. Oh, and so yeah, well, you don't even see like Felix. So yeah, off screen, Felix gets this Lucia out of their sort of like place where she's at, sort of thing, and into a safe house. But that's off camera, and you don't even hear nothing about it anymore. So unless it was out in fucking No Time to Shag. But anyway, then you see it's at the Plazo Cadencia where Bond sort of like tries to walk in casually, sort of thing, but the security stop him and ask him who he is and that. Well, he says he's Mickey Mouse, which obviously is one of them names you say to fucking make sure people know that you're taking the piss. Because obviously he's not Mickey Mouse, and even though you the could be a chance somebody is called Mickey Mouse, but no one calls themselves Mickey Mouse. But anyway, he then like shows the sector ring to as like to show like, oh yeah, I'm part of the Spectre sort of fucking crowd and that, where the security gets a bit panicky because they know, oh yeah, fucking these Spectre fucking people, they can fucking have people killed if they want to, so don't fuck around with them. So he lets Bond in that. And then as he's in there, he hears them talking about because they're having like a meeting and that big meeting where they think that they're all fucking Spectre agents there. So they're not bothered about who hears this and that. So they're talking about um oh like having like 70% of anti malaria vaccines and that, and 34% of HIV vaccines, and 40% of all oncological drug across sub-Saharan Africa. Basically, they're saying like, yeah, they're getting all the fucking medical fucking companies bought up and that. Well, in this, because this was done fucking like about 10 years, it would have been about 6 years ago or something. I think, yeah, I think it was done like 2015. So in this timeline, they're having a bit of trouble from the World Health Organization, and the World Health Organization are trying to stop their counterfeit pharmaceuticals because SPECTRE, they've got their hands in every sort of fucking business and that, and so they're dealing in, even though they're fucking dealing in non-counterfeit pharmaceuticals, they're also dealing in counterfeit pharmaceuticals like drugs and that. And the World Health Organization are trying to stop them and that. And so SPECTRE, they've sort of identified like key individuals to target to either blackmail them or kill them or threaten to kill them. Either way, they're going to get the World Health Organization off their back. And they're also doing the same sort of stuff to the Council on Human Trafficking sort of thing. So, and then a woman starts saying about female migrants, probably sex workers that are getting in, like, imported to whatever country it was, sort of thing. And then Blofeld walks in, even though you don't know at the time this is Blofeld, but Christopher Walken, like, hey, Captain, got this smoke there, saying yes, yeah, Captain. Hey, I got it wrong. I thought it was a one shagger, this, because like usually Daniel Craig, but no, it's a two shagger. So he's had 6 shags, Daniel Craig, in all his 5 films. So that's 1 and a bit shags. But yeah, it's a 2 shagger, this one. Just had his first shag with this dude who he fucking killed. But anyway, yeah. So he's in this room airing like the New World Order, talk about how they're gonna fucking get like the World Health Organization and the Council on Human Trafficking sort of fucking, and a woman's talking about getting these female migrants, probably sex workers, as I say, into some country over the border anyway. Well, then, like as I say, Blofeld walks in and that, and like he sits down at the table, and like everyone's quiet and that because Blofeld, he's the leader. he's not the main boss of Spectre, because you with Spectre, even if he was the main boss, I think you could never really tell, because fucking with Spectre, there's always, but Blofeld is supposed to be the like head sort of like organizer of Spectre, even though he can't control it. He's still got to do like a diplomatic sort of like fucking choice with the rest of the Spectre, but yeah, he still is the head that like calls like most of the shots. Well, he walks in and that he says, "Don't let him interrupt," and that, where the woman says like it's going good sort of thing, everything's like going to plan, and then a man talks about the success of Hamburg and Tunisia, where they'd done a train thing bomb, and then like another bomb sort of thing. But they're a bit sort of like gutted that the aborted attack in Mexico, which Bond stopped because they were going to blow up an arena, but Bond like blew up a building instead, where there was no people killed, or if there was going to be less people killed than there would have been in an arena. Well, yeah, well, they're a bit gutted that the Marco Scarara dude didn't blow up the arena, and the death of this Marco Scarara dude has left one of his missions unexecuted, and the mission was to execute the Pale King, because when Bond heard him over talking, he didn't say he wasn't gonna kill him. He just said he had to go see him, and obviously he meant he had to go see him and kill him. Well, because he didn't go kill him, because obviously Bond killed him before he could set off a bomb in an arena and go kill the Pale King. They don't really need to bomb the arena now, but they definitely need to kill the Pale King. And it's in Alt Uzzi in Austria, sort of thing. So they've got to go there. And this dude, he says, "Oh yeah, he'll do it," sort of thing. And if he does it, then he takes Marco's Scarara's sort of place as like one of the sort of like, it'd be the 8 sort of like, because Blofeld, he's number one, sort of like controls it, and he'll be one of the 8 of the number 2 hands. So if he does this job, he's sort of like one of the top in like one of the top 9 positions of Spectre. So he's like willing to go and do this shit. Well, he fucking says, "Oh yeah, is there anyone who fucking disagrees?" Sort of thing, like step forward. Well, I think it's Senior Serrara is called. But anyway, with this, as he's saying, "Oh yeah, anybody wants to like challenge me," sort of thing. Batista walks in, and he's not called Batista in it, but I call him Batista. He walks in, grabs this dude's head, smacks it on the table, pokes his eyes out with his fingers, well, with his thumbs, then snaps his neck, sort of thing, and then cleans his thumbs and that. And so now Batista's gonna be the dude to go to Ultraz's in Austria to fucking kill the Pale King. Well, then after this, Blofeld he starts to talk about Mexico and making references and that, and then he sort of like starts to welcome James Bond. Well, he says James because he knows James is up in the audience, sort of thing, watching. And how he knows this is because somebody has like come to him and said, "Oh yeah, everyone, there's probably a dude because Bond stole the ring and that." So they probably looked at him and realised, "Oh yeah, there's 9 people with this ring in the fucking building, and there should only be 8 people because one of them's supposed to be dead." So anyway, realise, oh yeah, James Bond's in the building, and then fucking Blofeld, he starts to like call James out with doing a cuckoo noise, which is a bit crazy in that. You sort of like fucking get told the story of why he's calling him a cuckoo, but yeah, bit strange. And I think it's one of them where I don't think Christopher Waltz wanted to say the line, sort of thing. And so when he's saying it, I don't think he believes it. You know, even Christopher Waltz, I think he feels a bit daft saying it because it's like, oh no, this doesn't seem right. But he does it anyway because he's an actor. And when the director tells you to do something, you got to do it. And so he starts doing a cuckoo. Well, anyway, Bond, he starts to fucking leave and that. And because, yeah, he knows, oh, yeah, he's been fucking, his cover's being blown and that. Well, the security stop him and that. Like, the dude, he's like, oh, yeah, fucking, um, bit pissed because he knows, oh, yeah, you blagged me to get through the fucking security check. But anyway, Bond just punches him in the face, chucks him over this sort of like balcony onto the table, jumps out of a window, runs like fuck, getting shot at, jumps like off a fucking uh, first floor, first story sort of fucking ledge. Where obviously I don't think it was Daniel Craig. It would have been like one of these parkour dudes. Well, nice jump in that, lands, like rolls, gets into his car, drives off. They're shooting at him, but the car's bulletproof and that. And so he gets out of there. Well, looks back and he's getting followed by fucking Batista, who's in a fucking oh, a McLaren. And so Bond's in his fucking Aston Martin, getting like chased by Batista in a McLaren. Looking real good fucking chase scene, even though they would have probably been going a bit faster. But anyway, Bond, because the car that he's in, he's got a few gadgets, puts on the back sort of like turret guns where he aims at Batista and that, but when he goes to fire, okay, there's no ammo and that. And then he goes, this is a bit daft. He goes to switch up on the um, atmosphere sort of button where don't know exactly what is he don't know what he's going to do. Where he just turns on some music and that where Bob's like, oh no, 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 sort of thing. Well, fucking yeah, the turret gun wasn't loaded and that, and then the atmosphere fucking thing is just music. So both sort of gadgets like are useless in that. Well, Bond's like in this narrow because it's happening in Rome and that. He's in this narrow street and that way he fucking speeds behind this Fiat where you fucking accelerates and starts pushing this Fiat at like about 100 miles per hour, where it fucking only just manages to stop and brake and that. Well, um, well, in Bond, he phones like mid sort of chase and that. Phones Miss Moneypenny, tells her all the attacks like are from the same organization and that. At this stage, he don't know the call Spectre, but anyway, um, then he asks Miss Moneypenny to like look on her laptop to see who the Pale King is, because now she's looking through all the fucking records and that sort of thing. Because I think they were just looking at like the Skyfall records. Well, now she's looking through all of them and that, where she finds the Pale King is Quantum, who is AKA Mr. White, who was the dude who Bond shot at the end of Casino Royale and dragged, and put in his boot and drove him to the MR6 interrogation place in the beginning of Quantum of Solace. That Mr. White. He is the Pale King, and he was last seen in Altersee in Austria, and that was 4 months ago. Well, then there's a bit more fucking car driving and that. Nice chase scene, as I say, pretty decent and that. And then he asks Miss Moneypenny to run another name, which means look it up and that on her computer sort of thing, find the info on Franz Oberherson, and he wants to know all the information on him before and after his death, which you find out like this Franz Oberherson is Blofeld, or fucking Bond knows as his sort of like adopted brother for like 2 years. A bit more car chase and that. Okay, pretty good car scene chase and that. Some nice fucking driving. And where they go up and down some stairs, like fucking, and on the side and that. Well, then Bond uses a back flamethrower that works and like sort of fucking burns the shit out of Batista's McLaren and that, where, and then Bond uses a sort of like escape eject seat that's got a parachute on, that like he ejects and that, and Batista doesn't see this because he's too busy looking at the flames on his fucking windscreen and that. Like Bond flies off and the car just flies into the river sort of thing, gets ditched and that. Bond sort of like fucking then walks off casually and that. And then you see like Miss Moneypenny, she sees that this Franz Oberhauser was suspected to be dead in an avalanche with his dad like 20 years ago. But she still keeps sort of digging, but she don't find out, but you don't know this at that time. Well, anyway, then it goes to like this Tokyo meeting where there's 9 countries and that, and you see this sea dude who's saying that more surveillance is needed, and Tanner he's looking on his laptop and sees like this DB10 who fucking he knows probably Bond's fucking took it because Q would have fucking told fucking Tanner or M or 009 would have. Well, anyway, he sees the like wreckage getting dragged out of an Italian river and that, or he's just fucking laid in the river. Well, anyway, it's on a news article and that. So then you see where he says there will be a global power sort of thing, meaning he wants to be the head of like the surveillance of this global new world order. Well, M says it's an unelected one, and that to Tanner, but real quietly. And then the votes are sort of like cast, and it's an 8-1 in favour of this joint security, but it must be a unanimous decision, which means it has to be nothing. They all have to agree. And South Africa voted no because M like sees them voting sort of thing. Well, Tanner tells M about Bond, like grasses Bond up and that, where M phones Q up and he's asking Q where Bond is, where Q says he's in London, says he's in Chelsea and that. But obviously he knows he ain't because he can see that Bond is in Ultra C in Austria. Then he goes to where it's Ultra C in Austria, where Bond's looking for Mr. White and that, because that was the last place he was fucking spotted and that. And see him sort of like driving and that. Then he's on like a boat where he goes to this cabin where I think he must have like looked it up, known addresses or whatever. Goes into this cabin where fucking I think it could be the cabin sort of like that's in the beginning of No Time to Shag. But anyway, Bond's looking around and that. Don't really see anybody around. Like looks like it's a bit deserted and that. But then he sees a camera and the lights on, so he knows, oh yeah, there's someone using it. Well, he sees a like secret act sort of thing where he goes down, opens it and that, and he sees like Mr. White and that. And Bond's sort of like, oh yeah, get upstairs sort of thing. I want to talk to you. And he shows him, Bond shows Mr. White the SPECTRE ring and says he was in Rome and he wants info on like SPECTRE, but obviously he don't know it's called SPECTRE. He just wants info on like the organization behind this ring with the octopus symbol on. Well, Mr. White says like, oh yeah, that last month he found tellurium, like some kind of fucking radioactive shit, tollium, so like in his cell phone, and it's poisoned him. Radiation poisoned him, and got a week or two to live, sort of thing. And says he's disobeyed an order involving killing women and children because Spectre want like to cause some chaos and that to get their new world order government fucking going and that. And then he like says to Bond, like, because Bond wants to know where Blofeld is, where White says he's everywhere, and that meaning his organisation's everywhere, sort of thing. Well, Bond says White's protecting someone, works out like, oh yeah, it's his daughter. And Bond says he will protect her and that, and gives White his gun. And like White could shoot Bond, but he knows like there's no point. And then White says his daughter and that, like she can lead Bond to La American La American, which Bond thinks is a dude, but you find out later that it's a place. But anyway, uh, tells Bond to try at the Hoffler clinic, and that's where his daughter works, and that. Says Bond is a kite dancing in a hurricane, and that. Then puts a gun to his sort of like bottom of his mouth, sort of thing, or top of his chin, blows his brains out, sort of thing. And like Bond's now promised to protect his daughter and that. And Bond finds like the photo of Mr. White and his daughter on Mr. White. He's dead now, but it's as she's a little girl, but he's got at least some idea of what she's going to look like. Well, then it's the new Centre of National Security where C tells them that the private benefactors paid for most of the bill for the new building. And it's going to be a Big Brother 2.0 sort of shit where he's like, oh yeah, this is the building that's fucking going to be able to fucking see everything everywhere. Well, M is concerned of always going to be able to see everything everywhere. And like the surveillance security system is sort of like too or too sort of like intruding into people's personal lives for it to be in the hands of some crazy man or woman or Moffredite. Anyway, uh, MSC, if he has, because C says, oh, well, agents are like not going to be able to beat their surveillance system and that. Well, M asks C if he's ever killed before and that, because he says like a license to kill is also a license not to kill. He makes the point of like you can't trust computers to like call a human decision, meaning like the human brain is more quicker than the most powerful computer sort of thing. And like um, human um, uh, instinct and that outweighs drones and surveillance systems sort of thing. And um, C, then C, he sort of like to get in the head, he sort of plays a recorded phone call of Miss Moneypenny and Bond when they was talking about um, the Pale King and that Mr. White was the Pale King. Then C says like the surveillance system has its uses, sort of thing. Well, M's not happy that MR6 agents were sort of like tapped and that and bugged and being recorded and listened on, sort of thing. Well, C says they watch everyone, probably including himself, because he's one of them sort of like fucking silly bastards who think he's going to be secure. But obviously, he knows like he has sort of like head security. So when there's times he don't want to be surveilled, he can turn it off because he's the head of security there, or the head organizer. Well, when it goes to Austria, where you see Batista walking, sort of like Mr. White's house, and he's been dead a few days because the crows are pecking his eyes out and that. And then Batista sees like there's a CCTV camera where he goes and gets the footage, but this is off camera and gives it to Blofeld, but off camera. Well, then you see Bond, who is visiting Dr. Madeline Swan, who's Mr. White's daughter, and that for a physical and psychological sort of analyst, where she asks questions about Bond and that sort of analysing Bond, how he's what he sort of like does in that. Well, Bond sort of like does some like small talk in that, and um, then Bond asks her why she is sort of like overqualified, where he says where she'd like studied and that and her qualifications and that, but he basically says like you're overqualified, but why you're working at a place that's like fucking in the middle of nowhere, sort of thing. Well, she says, Bond says like she's hiding from someone and that. Well, she sort of like fucking says like she gets enough money and that sort of thing, and then asks Bond why on his sort of like form that he has to fill in to get an appointment with her and that, why his occupation is left blank on the form. And Bond says, like, because he don't look good, and she asks why, and then Bond says because he kills people, and tells her that her father is dead, and that sort of thing. Says it was 2 days ago. Says her life is in danger, and he needs to help her to find La Americana, sort of thing. Well, she says Bond has like 10 minutes to leave the building before she calls security, and then like Bond leaves the room, sort of thing. Don't want to cause a scene. Well, when Bond, he goes and like has a drink at the bar where it's fucking doing health drinks and that, where Bond's a bit gutted. Well, Q, because he's scanning Bond, he knows exactly where he is, enters the sort of health centre and sits next to Bond and that, and says about the 3 million prototype DB10 fucking Aston Martin that got fucked up and that. Well, Bond's not too bothered. He's all about like the mission and that. Well, then Q tells Bond that he's been searching for this Franz Oberhauser, but he can't find out. Says he's dead and that. And Q wants Bond to go back to the HQ sort of headquarters sort of thing, or Q and Miss Moneypenny, their careers are gone sort of thing. Like they're going to lose their job if they can't get Bond back because M's a bit pissed off. Well, Bond says he saw this Ferdinand Oberhauser, and that's how he knows he's alive. Well, Q says it might have appeared to him, but he's been dead 20 years, sort of thing. Well, Bond says El Americana is a lead, and he has like needs to find out about it and that. Where Q scoffs at the like meaningless of the word because it could mean anything. And Q says he'll tell M if Bond don't go back, and Bond asks Q for one more favour, to look into the SPECTRE ring that he got off that Marco Scarara dude. And then gets Q's hotel room number because Q tells him where he's staying at and that. And then Q leaves and that. Well, then Bond looks up, sees sort of like, oh, yeah. It's Courtney's Fellowship of Red Balls. Yeah, yeah, Courtney. And Courtney says, I've just got off my bad stream, but they're still going. Just wanting to say much love. Yeah. And Courtney Fellowship of Red Balls says, Les Gators. Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So, um, Bond, he looks up, sees fucking um, Swan. She's getting like dragged out with some dudes, and sees like Batista in that. And well, fucking uh, he sort of like starts to kick off sort of thing because these two sort of like guards sort of like try and stop him in that. Like, well, they just normal security and that, where Bond just beats the shit out of both of them, tells them to fuck off and that. Then like beats the shit out of another dude that comes at him real close with a gun, which is a bit corny. But anyway, and then he shoots at another dude who tries to stop him. Well, then you see Q go on like a fucking cable car lift, and he's scanning this fucking ring because it's got like DNA and fingerprints all over it and that. And so he's seen everyone's DNA and fingerprints who's come in contact with this ring and that. Well, there's a shady dude that's fucking watching him and that, and knows like, oh yeah, he's got to get the sort of ring off him and that. Well, when Swan's gonna get injected to sleep, sort of thing, in the back of the car, but Bond flies across the car in a plane where it gives her time to grab a fucking the needle and inject the dude. Well, Bond's in this aeroplane now. That's just like a one-seater sort of, or two-seater fucking little um, flight of plane sort of thing. Well, I start shooting and that, but fucking armored fucking trucks and that. So then the shark's shooting at Bond, where Bond has to like fly off sort of thing. Well, then you see back with Q where the dudes are gonna get the ring off him and that, but these people walking and that, these skiers in this cable car where fucking Bond and Q sort of like mingles back down and that. Well, then Bond goes head to head with them in his aeroplane, where he fucking gets two of the jeeps to crash out and that sort of thing. Fucking some pretty good action and that. Well, explosions happen where it gives Q a fucking um, diversion for him to run off into the toilets, where he fucking goes into the toilets and that, and he's hard from them where they just run past and that. Well, then you see Batista with his gun on Swan and that, and then there's Bond in the aeroplane that's like chasing fucking Batista and Swan, who's in this car, where he starts to like ram the back and that, where he fucking bit crazy this shit. Guess his wings sort of like knocked out and that, flying real close to trees and that. Well, he's the back of the fucking Jeep and that. Gonna fly off the edge, but he manages to fucking decelerate enough so he can gets enough of a turn so he don't smash into trees. goes down a fucking sort of hill and that, where he sort of like meets up with the jeeps and that. He goes through a fucking barn door where it smashes through this building and that, and into smashes into one of the jeeps, takes it out and that, and then fucking you see Batista crash, and he goes through the front windscreen and that, and Bond gets out of the aeroplane that's all smashed up, shoots the driver dude, oh fucking in there, thinks Batista's dead and that. Well, gets Swan out the car where she's real pissed off because she blames him for leading them to her and that, where fucking she's got a point where fucking they're only wanting to kill her because fucking Bond has got like a bit of a lead going and that. Yeah, yeah, go on here. Yeah, like they're watching me and yeah, yeah. I've got to do this, Courtney. But anyway, um, after Bond sort of like calms her down, they go to Q's hotel room where Q, he's all like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Um, Franz, um, oh, where's his fucking name? Franz Oberhausen, oh, is Blofeld. He is alive because there's DNA or fingerprints on the ring that show that, like, yeah, he was alive. Well, anyway, then Q puts on the TV and sees like there's a bomb that's gone off or an explosion anyway that's destroyed houses in a suburban district in South Africa, Cape Town, and that, and yeah, and Q says like, yeah, you're right, Bond, because yeah, there's like all these dudes that have like been touching this ring, and that they're all a part of this organization where Q doesn't know who the organization is, but then Swan says, oh yeah, it's Spectre, where now Bond knows the name of the organization that he's trying to stop and that. And yeah, he said, okay, so yeah, it's okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I want to be doing this as quick as possible, sort of thing. It's getting done and finished. But yeah, so anyway, they find out by now, fucking, that Blofeld, who is Franz Oberhauser, Bond's sort of like stepbrother, he's the leader of Spectre. And they've seen like, yeah, they've bombed Cape Town and that. And they made it look like an explosion and that. And so Bond tells Q to go back to London and that to help him out and to keep tracking him, sort of thing, with his like spark blood sort of like tracker. And Q agrees and says Bond needs to find La Americana, which they think's a dude, but Swan says it's a place, it's not a person. Well, then it goes to Tanzania, where Bond and Swan go to the El Americana Hotel. And Swan says it was a parents' honeymoon room where Bond like realizes, oh yeah, well there must be someone in this room that will give me a clue on like how to get to Blofeld. So he starts to tear the room apart, sort of thing. Well, he finds some ouzo or vodka or fucking tequila, one of the two or three. He finds a bottle of it, starts to drink it and that. And then Swan wants to go to bed, but not with Bond because she just wants to go to sleep and that. Well, she falls a bit as she gets up and that into like Bond's arm and that. So says Bond needs to fucking keep away, sleep in the chair, or she'll kill him and that. So Bond sleeps in the chair. Well, he wakes up in the chair, sees a mouse run off into a mouse hole in the wall, and then Bond pours some beer on the floor and sees there's a bit of a gap that's fucking the beer's leaking through. And then he starts to punch the plasterboard and sees that there's a fucking secret room. And then Swan wakes up and she walks into this secret room and that and sees like these numbers on her pin board sort of thing where like she asks Bond what they are and he says, oh yeah, the coordinate fucking numbers, get some location and that. Well, anyway, Bond then starts up this computer and sees that Mr. White was like scanning a satellite phone. And Bond thinks, oh yeah, it must be Franz Obazhaga, aka Blofeld. And then Swan wants to go with Bond, but Bond, because like Bond's now fucking got this location where he thinks like Blofeld's gonna be. So, but he don't want uh, Swan. He don't want Air going because he promised her dad that he'd keep her safe and that. So he says no, but she wants to know what happened to her dad. And Bond knows what's happened to her dad, and he could tell her, but he don't want to tell her because he sort of like used her dad, and he don't want to fucking tell her that he used her dad, sort of thing. Well, they look at the map and that, and then Bond sees that like where the phone had been, he wasn't going anywhere. The phone calls and that, it was sort of like where he was stationed. Well, uh, Like, yeah, Bond, he's like realised, oh yeah, well, he's probably still going to be there. And so he like goes to get on a train and that to North Africa. But before that, though, you see C, who tells them that South Africa, because after fucking their sort of houses got fucking blown up with some kind of fucking uh, explosion, that South Africa has now voted yes for the new sort of surveillance systems to be put in. And now South Africa has voted is going to be live in less than 72 hours. And C's friend, who's the Home Office secretary who went to school with, is closing down the double O fucking agents sector and that, because he don't think they need him now. He's got his surveillance system going to be up in 72 hours. Well, M's not happy with him in that, calls him a little cocky prick and that, or a cocky bastard, I think it is. But C takes it as a compliment, but M's like, no, don't take it as a compliment. Well, then you see, it's on the train where Bond and Swan are like on this train that's going to like North Africa, and Bond shows sort of Swan how to use a gun, but she knows how to use one because she said she'd killed a dude who was gonna go kill her dad. And then M's at a restaurant where Q and Miss Moneypenny walk in, and Q says he has tracked down with the smart blood tracking system where Bond is, and he's in like North Africa, where M says that they can't help Bond, and Miss Moneypenny says that they know where Bond is gonna be in that, but M says C is watching them all the time and that, and then he goes to leave and that. Well, Miss Moneypenny and Q argue about M should be helping Bond, but M says that like it's too risky and that they'll give Bond away more. They'll give Bond's location away, so it's best not to help him. And then M says to Q to delete all the smart blood files and that. And so whoever's got the information on the tracking systems and that of the smart blood won't know the names and that. So they wanted to get rid of all this smart blood tracking system. Well, Q like agrees and that. Well, then it's back on the train where Bond and Swan are like dressed up, sort of like where Bond sees Swan dressed up and he's all like, yeah, I want to fuck that all over, sort of thing. But they're having some drinks where Swan does a bit of small talks and that, and like the drinks get delivered, And whilst having a drink and that, Bond sees Batista's reflection in a silver cocktail shaker that's been left on the table. And like, this is a good fucking bit though. A nice fight scene where Batista just comes in, bolts the table that smashes up into fucking Swan's face and like knocks her out. And then he starts beating the shit out of Bond. Where Daniel Craig isn't a small dude, but Batista, he is a big dude, and so he makes Daniel Craig look like a fucking child, or at least a woman. He starts fucking beating the crap out of Bond and that. And like, I'm pretty good fighting and that, but Bond gets his ass kicked because like Batista's in this, he's fucking supposed to be like a fucking animal because he slaps Swan out cold with one slap because she tries to hit him with a fucking metal bar sort of thing. Well, yeah, he just beats the fuck out of fucking Bond and that. Where it gets to a stage where it's at the end of the fucking trade where fucking Batista's gonna throw Bond out of the train, sort of thing. Well, Swan by this time he woken up and that and fucking like shoots Batista in his arm and that. And so Batista lets go of Bond where she tries to like because he has behind some boxes. Well, she runs out of ammo. Batista comes out, grabs her by the throat and that, choking her. Well, Bond, he grabs some rope, wraps it around Batista's throat and that, gives him a punch and that. Well, fucking, that's Neiman in the back, slams his head into one of these barrels that fucking fall off and start fucking dragging other barrels off. Where in the end, he gets to the stage where it's at the end of the rope that Bond's wrapped around Batista's neck, where Batista realizes, says, "Oh shit," and then gets like dragged out of the fucking train, and probably is dead, or if not, he doesn't. You don't ever see him again. Don't know if he got his neck broken. Well, anyway, after this excitement, Swan asks what Bond wants to do, and it's a shag. So Bond and Swan go back to the fucking room and that, and have a shag. Bond's second shag, and then Bond and Swan get off the train and that, and Bond and Swan wait at this like station that's in the middle of North Africa. So it's pretty much deserted. There's no one fucking around and that. Well, then this Rolls Royce comes and picks them up and that, and drives them to Blofeld sort of like place and that. Where when they get there, Blofeld's butler comes out, like says, "Oh yeah, they've got a 4 o'clock PM appointment with a lunch, sort of like dinner appointment and that. It's been arranged for them and that." And then Bond has to give up his gun and that, so he gives up his Walter PK and that. And then Bond goes to his hotel room, sees the photo of his sort of like stepdad and him and Franz Oberhauser, and the pictures not being any fire damage, so it's a full picture of it and that, and so you can see now that the faces of Franz Oberhauser's Blofeld. Well, then Swan in her room, she sees her dad's photo of him and her as a young girl, sort of thing. Then Bond and Swan go with the butler to a room with a rock in the middle of it, where in this room is pretty dark, and that where Blofeld says they can touch this big, quite big rock, and that where he asks them if they know what it is, where Swan says it's a meteorite, where Blofeld says yes, she's correct, and that it's the Kartenhof, the whole oldest in human possession, and that says it made the creator that his place is sort of like built in. And talks about the meteorite being in space and that, and a lonely sort of journey and all this, and it had to the unstoppable object. But then Bond's like, "Oh well, it did stop, didn't it?" Sort of thing. Well, then Blofeld, he's all like, "All right, yeah, okay, okay." And, well, he says, "Well, is Blofeld's glad to see they're all together, him, Bond, and Swan, sort of thing." And then tells them that the OO agents is no more. The agency of the OO agents has been like shut down. It's no more. And then asks Bond and Swan why they came to see him and that. And Bond says to kill him, and that he's being very blunt, Bond. Well, Blofeld says, "Oh, he thought it was because Bond wanted to get killed, sort of thing, that he'd come and see him so he could die." Well, Bond says it's all about perspective, and that where Blofeld opens a door to his surveillance room, he says, "Oh yeah, talk about perspective," and shows him around where he brings up live footage of the cameras in the um, surveillance center building that is the new sort of headquarters for MR6, and that where M's giving a speech about how he is pretty gutted that the OO agents have been sort of like sacked, and that they've been made redundant, sort of thing. Well, Blofeld says it looks like James is all alone in that now, sort of thing, because he's not an OO agent. So like getting into Bond's head, sort of thing. Well, Bond says like Blofeld is too scared to join in the fight and just likes to watch people die, getting into Blofeld's head. And then he says like C is working for Blofeld, where Blofeld says that C and himself, they are visionaries, which he means that they both see like a higher sort of fucking goal in where everyone's being surveilled, so there won't be no fucking crime. But as M pointed out, it's who's in control of the surveillance system. Because if it's people who do crime, then they can do more crime because they can see where the surveillance systems are operating on. Well, anyway, um, yeah, well, Blofeld, after saying like the visionaries and that, and then he starts to fucking get into Bond's head because he claims that he was killing all of Bond's women, and that says like he killed Vesper, and says Bond's messed up his life, meaning you find out like his dad fucking liked Bond a bit better than him, so Bond sort of like fucked up his Blofeld's relationship with his dad. So Blofeld's gonna fuck up Bond's relationship with his women, sort of thing. And claims that, like, yeah, he's gonna fuck up Bond's life and that. Then Swan says she can see why her father left um, Blofeld's sort of like organization, sort of thing. Well, Blofeld says her father was weak and shows her footage of him killing himself with Bond's gun and that, where Bond demands it to be turned off because he don't want to fucking have Swan watching Bond give the gun to her dad that he committed suicide with and that. Well, he runs at fucking Blofeld, but one of his guards sort of get out a cosh and smashes shins in, and that where fucking Bond just falls to the floor. And then Bond tries to stop fucking Swan from seeing it by saying that for her to look at him and that. And so she does and that. And then Blofeld says, the things that bring us together in that, out of horror comes beauty, sort of thing. Then Bond gets pistol whipped in the back of the head, where Bond then wakes up where he's tied down in this chair that's very mechanical, that can like move his arms and legs, sort of thing. Well, anyway, Bond wakes up tied down in this, well, not tied down, it's more locks, like wrist locks that is designed for this chair. Well, anyway, Blofeld tells Swan about torture and death and reflects on, I think it refers to fucking dad, sort of thing. And Well, anyway, then Blofeld starts to drill into Bond's head with a little drill to give him a sort of slight lobotomy, where he says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up, so your aiming's a bit shit and all this." So it's like your fucking hand-to-eye coordination's gonna be fucking a bit off and that. Well, he starts to drill him and that with his little drill, and Blofeld sat at this sort of computer table where he's fucking controlling the drill with a sort of like computer fucking tape machine, sort of like controls. And yeah, and Blofeld tells Swan about Bond being a cuckoo and that. Says he had to kill his dad because his dad sort of like fucking give more attention to Bond because Bond was better at climbing, mountain climbing than Blofeld and that. And he resented the fact that fucking his dad didn't pay as much attention to him as he did Bond. So he killed his dad in this avalanche where he must have fucking set this avalanche up and then faked his own death. Well, Bond gets his watch off his wrist because his hands are like behind his sort of back at this stage where they can't see him take his watch off his wrist. Well, anyway, Blofeld says he's gonna wipe Bond's memory by fucking drilling a hole in a position behind his ear. None of this sort of like works all that good, but I think it's because Blofeld's sort of like an amateur at this, so he's still fucking testing it out and that. Um, well, Blofeld starts to drill into fucking Bond's sort of like neck, just behind the ear sort of thing. Well, this is hurting him, obviously. Well, Swan goes, tells Bond she loves him and that because she thinks he's going to have his memory wiped after the drilling stops, sort of thing. Well, Blofeld asks if he still recognises her. Christopher Show brings it like Blofeld a bit of comedy in there, sort of thing. Well, like Bond, like whispers, like he still like remembers her and that, and then passes her his watch that he's took off and that, and he's activated it with a 1 minute fuse timer sort of thing, even though there's no fuse. But with bombs, they usually call the timer a fuse, even though it is not to do with a fuse. It's just it's just a clock, but it's called a fuse timer anyway because in the olden days they used a fuse instead of a timer system. But anyway, she's got a minute before it fucking explodes. Well, Um, Swan listening to Blofeld for about 30 seconds or whatever. She slides the watch to where Blofeld sat at his computer desk. Well, it blows up in that. And because she blows up the computer, it fucking sets Bond free and that. Because the leg and arm lock restrictions get unlocked. Where then fucking if where she blows the computer desk where Blofeld is. He flies off and that. And then Bond, he fucking sort of gets Swan and that and fucking legs it out of the building and that, where he fucking slams the door open, knocks a guard out, then grabs his gun, like that, starts taking out loads of dudes. A little bit corny, this bit. I think he's taking out too many dudes, sort of thing. But because he's James Bond, we'll let him off. Well, anyway, he shoots a gas fucking pipeline that's fucking supplying the fucking buildings with gas. Well, that fucking blows like fuck. Then he starts taking out loads of dudes, guards that are like guarding this helicopter, where it could be because these guards, they're like really shit at shooting. They're like mainly there just because the chances is they ain't gonna see no action. Well, when action does fucking come calling, they're real shit. But anyway, Bond kills them all and that. It's a bit fucking strange because fucking on the Skyfall he couldn't hit fucking he couldn't shoot for shit. But now all of a sudden in fucking Spectre, after getting drilled, now he's a fucking super shot. I don't know if it was because he couldn't shoot for shit, and when Blofeld started drilling into his fucking like head and that, it instead of like making him a shit shot, because he was a shit shot, it made him a good shot for some reason. But he took these dudes out with precision, aiming, fucking, and that. But anyway, gets to the chopper, and the bit where fucking like stood there. They could have just. I'm sure I saw a version where they just did a pause at the end. But anyway, the building fucking starts to explode and that because Bond set off a fucking gas fucking um, surge explosion. Anyway, Bond says after seeing the fucking full building get exploded, he says it's not over yet, sort of thing. And then they fly off in the chopper. Where fucking Bond looks at the wreckage and that. sees a few cars burning off and that, so there's a few survivors. But Bond doesn't exactly know who and that, but he just gets out of there, sort of thing. Well, then it's in London where M, Tanner, and Q enter this safe house, sort of thing, where they go up these stairs and that, where M goes into a room with Bond and Swan, where Bond tells M that he killed Blofeld, even though he didn't. He thinks he has. And C is a Spectre agent, sort of thing. And at midnight, Spectre will be in control of the surveillance system, and Bond says Q needs to hack the system to stop it going live, sort of thing, online. And M says it's good to have Bond back in that, where Bond leaves with M and that, where Swan don't want to stay at the safe house, and she says goodbye to Bond, sort of thing. Bond says he is. No, she says Bond is a like good man and that, and then she leaves, sort of thing, because he helped her, sort of like fucking saved her, sort of thing. Well, she leaves. Bond sort of like drives off and that with M, and they're in one car. And Q, Tanner, and Miss Moneypenny in another, where Q has sort of like 32 minutes to stop the surveillance system going online. And well, Bond and M, they're driving quite a bit in front of fucking Tanner and Q and Miss Moneypenny. Probably because Tanner's driving in his shit. But anyway, Bond and M's car that they're in gets teamboed by a fucking group of guards and that like drag Bond out of the car, bang him into the back of a sort of fucking prison truck, sort of thing, that the arrest prisoners with, put a bag over his head and that. Well, when they go back to see where M is, M's gone. And fucking then Tanner, Miss Moneypenny, and Q see this shit. They get shot at, sort of thing. Well, they just fucking drive the fuck out of there. Then you see M, who's fucking escaped from the car and that, and he's legged it out of there, sort of thing. Don't know how he did that, but he does it anyway. Well, you see Bond getting like drove around in this fucking armored van, sort of thing. Well, then you see M, who fucking sees Tanner, Miss Moneypenny, and Q, where he gets into their car and that. Well, they get Bond out of a armored van and that, and they stick a gun to his head to tell him to get moving and that, because he's got a blindfold on. Well, once they stick the gun to his head, he knows where the gun is and that. So Bond grabs the gun, shoots both the guards and that, takes off the fucking, well, snaps the strap ties that are around his wrist, takes off the bag that they stuck off his head, and he sees that he's at the old MR6 building, and then Bond sees arrows pointing with his name on it and that, so he starts to follow it and that. Well, then it's back at the new Centre of National Security, where C tells agents to find M, as he needs both of them and that. Well, then he goes to his laptop, but he can't get access on his laptop. And then you see M, and M says it's not a good feeling being watched and that, where Q is with it, M, and that. And as like Q has like hacked the system and that, and then like he sees like M and Q there sort of like hacking the system and that. Well, he says that both of them, they're out of the job and that, you know, they're fired, and they're trespassing now. And M says like he's gonna bring C in on charges of being like a double agent and that. Well, C sort of like is a bit pissed, but now he can do because M's got a gun at him and that. Because well, no, yeah, got a gun, but well, anyway, it's back to the MR6 old building and that, where the building's being rigged with explosives because it's going to get demolished and that, so it's up for demolition. Where then it goes back to the CNS center. Oh, is it Center of National Security? Yeah, the new Center of National Security, where C gets a gun out of his sort of ward, his drawer on his desk, but goes to shoot M, but M's got his bullets because he's took the bullets out of C's gun. Where then fucking M says C stands for carelessness, sort of thing. Oh, like, and well, then it goes back to the old MR6 building where the shooting targets with Bond's face on them are like popping up and that, but it's just to like get Bond sort of edgy and that. Well, Q, you see, he's having a bit of a problem with getting the UK system jammed and that. He's done the rest. He's done the other 8, but he's having trouble with the UK. Well, then Bond sees like pictures of the past of like people being killed, and M's like one of them, and that, where fucking a female M, and like and Vesper's there, and fucking then there's like the Sheaf and Silver sort of thing. Well, anyway, keeps walking sort of thing because they're on like pictures and that. Well, he comes to a room where he sees Blofeld, so he shoots at him, but he's behind armored bulletproof glass and that. Where Blofeld sets a 3-minute timer for the explosives and says like you can rather find Swan because he's planted there in the building, or leave. And if you leave, then you're going to be like having to live with the fact that you let Swan die. Well, then Q finishes the hack where he's got all the country's security systems hacked, so they're not going to go online, so the New World Order globalists can't use it for their advantage. Well, Emma's seat, like, by gunpoint, and says like to leave because he's had enough of C's sort of shit sort of thing. Well, the timer gets set, and so Bond sort of like starts running to find Swan. Well, Blofeld gets into a chopper where he flies off and that, and then this chopper flies by where fucking C and M are, where C then goes for M's gun, but there's a bit of a sort of like struggle where the fucking glass sort of railings get shot, where then fucking C falls off the railings to his death and that. Well, then you see Bond, he's sort of like running, trying to find fucking Swan, where he gets to the top of the building sort of thing, but he still hasn't found it. But then he hears her shouting from a room where he fucking like rips the door open and that, sees like she's tied up and that. Then he fucking cuts her free, grabs her, and says to trust him, and then he jumps down the fucking building sort of corridor that's being built because there's a big hole in it where there's a netting at the bottom where fucking it's probably in case people do fall off. Like, they should have had this netting at the new Centre of National Security, and C would have still been alive, but they don't. They have this netting at the old MR6 building, which Bond and Swan landing, which it fucking saves them sort of thing. Probably one of them anti-fucking suicide nets and all that China usually use. But anyway, Blofeld, he fucking thinks Bond's dead because the bomb goes off. Proper takes out the MR6 old building and that shit. People start to scream and that sort of thing. Well, Bond, he fucking escapes and that, and Swan by getting out in a fucking speedboat that was still left at the bottom of the MR6 building, where then he starts to follow fucking. He's a bit corny, this bit. He starts to follow fucking Blofeld in his helicopter and that, where he starts to shoot at Blofeld, and it must be one of the most luckiest fucking shots. Well, anyway, he shoots the fucking motor, like the engine in the back of the helicopter, and he's not that close. It's fucking miles away. Well, not miles away, probably about half a mile away though. But he finally hits it, and it fucking fucks up the helicopter. Where the helicopter, what even a machine gun? What or if it had been a 50 caliber fucking rifle, then yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I can fucking believe that, yeah, a 50 caliber bullet would fuck up there. But anyway, they got over a handgun. Well, it fucks it up anyway that the helicopter starts to go out of control. Fucking lands on London Bridge. It could be. I don't know, but well, in London Bridge and near the Thames Bridge. But whatever bridge it lands on, it lands on it where fucking I don't know how they survive, but anyway, Blofeld does survive and that, and gets his leg fucked up and that because a bit of a crash goes down and that. Well, anyway, he's already had his eye blown and all from that watch incident, but they're all dead apart from Blofeld. Well, he gets out and that. Then the police are all cornering off this fucking accident scene and that, where Bond gets there, runs up, sort of thing, and gets his gun out, sort of like has Blofeld at gunpoint because Blofeld at this stage, his eye's been fucked up, his left leg's all fucked up, he's dragging himself fucking to safety. Well, Blofeld tells Bond to like do it and that, finish it. Well, Bond empties his gun and that, and like says he's out of bullets, and he's got better things to do, like shagging fucking Swan that he sort of like looks at as he says they've got better things to do. I think in that. Well, then M comes up and arrests Blofeld, and that fucking says like he's under, well, not under arrest, but he's being detained under national security risk, whatever. Basically, he is getting arrested, but you know, say, well, then it goes to fucking where he kisses Swan and the walk off and that. Well, then must be the next day and that where Bond goes to Q's headquarters and that says like, oh yeah, and he just do me a favor sort of thing because he's retired now. That's like in No Time to Shag. Bond is not James Bond 00 agent. He's just James Bond, who is a retired 00 agent. Because at the end of ES sort of thing, so like says like what you Q says like what you doing back sort of thing, and like Bond's like, oh yeah, I just come for you to get some and that, which you see he gets his DB7 and then he drives off with Swan and that, and the end, fucking is the old Bond cast and that sort of thing, and like Daniel Craig and all that. There's rest sort of thing. Splits it up into fucking locations and that of like the cast. They usually do that with the stunt cast, but well, anyway, Yeah, goes all the night with all the list of fucking actors and actresses and that shit. And it has like the writing real small and that. No, that's why I couldn't fucking read a fucking one of the like. Oh, really done for like fucking big screens and all that shit. If you haven't got a big massive screen though, fucking it's quite hard to read. The font's got smaller, I reckon. The bigger the TVs have got. So then, fucking hell. Good job. Not watching it on your phone. I'd be like, how small is the rating? Yeah, quite a lot of fucking cast and crew though. And just having a look to see if the end, if it says James Bond will return, and then no more Daniel Craig. I don't think it does. Well, I'll just double check. Usually it could be right at the end sometimes, like Bond will return, but oh yeah, it does. James Bond will return right at the end. Flashes up for like a second. But yeah, which he does return in No Time to Shag or No Time to Die, they called it, but we all know it as No Time to Shag. And yeah, there you go. There's Spectre, which is probably the second shittest fucking Bond film. But because it's a Bond film, still a good fucking film. Still got some great action in. Storyline can be a bit cheesy, and some of the fucking writing and of the fucking dialogue, especially the cuckoo bit. But great action scene though, great action scene. Some good fucking action as you would expect for the Bond films. Well, I'll end it there. That thing. Thanks to Courtney and Fellowship of Odd Balls popping in and that. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't see you there, Ash. I thought it was Courtney because I'm on my phone, so that the avatars. But yeah, yeah, I'll pay attention to you now because I'll finish my stream. If you're still streaming, actually, I'll be on in like 2 minutes. Well, yeah, cheers to Ashley. Been popping on that. Yeah. Cheers to Captain Cockney Spock. And cheers to Milton Knowles, the soy witch queen. It says, what is a soy boy? It's what you are, Milton. But yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.